Available on DVD from Cleopatra Entertainment is the new Youth in the Woods horror film Fear Cabin: The Last Weekend of Summer. This is a film, indie film, very small, low budget indie film that was done by this multi hyphenate, as they say, Brian Krainson, who stars, wrote, produced, was stunt coordinator, and probably more than that. And it features the aforementioned Brian Krainson, Violet SinClair, Jeremy London, who you would recognize from Mallrats, and Jennifer Barlow. And the story is, it is a group of youths, and it is the last weekend of summer, right there in the title. And they have rented on the cheap a cabin to go out and party for the weekend before they have to go out and face responsibility or just the end of summer. So it is a couple of ladies, couple of guys, the younger brother of one of the guys, and they get there. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. They talk about what a rundown cabin it is from the outside, and you look at it and you're like, place looks pretty nice to me. And they go inside and they're like, well, it's a little bit better than it looked from the outside. And later there's a wide shot and this place is gigantic. So I just thought that was amusing. I'm sure it was just like, that's what they had to work with, but it was just amusing in the what they were saying versus what you were seeing. Jeremy London is like the strange old caretaker of the place, sort of the crazy Ralph who just shows up and says some words of warning and then disappears. And one by one, things start happening. Supernatural things start happening. I'm not going to give away what it is and how it happens and who it is, but it is a standard sort of, what do they call the Spam in a Cabin movie, where it is a group of youths and they have to figure out what is going on, how do we stop this thing, who will survive and what will be left of them. It is, as I said, a very low budget film, probably not something that you're going to see too readily anywhere unless you go looking for it, but it was impressively made for the limited resources that they had. The acting isn't always that great. The dialogue isn't always that great. Some of the editing isn't that great, where it seems like it's daytime or it's nighttime or it's daytime, but the effects are pretty well done for what they are. They're almost entirely practical effects. There's a lot of wire work that was very impressive. People flying through the air, floating through the air. There are stunts that I was just like, wow, where it's not spectacular. It's not jumping a dirt bike onto a moving train, but it's like somebody falls down the stairs and it is clearly that actor and it looks like it hurts. Somebody gets hit by a car and it is clearly that actor. And it turns out that the deal here is that Krainson runs a studio in Atlanta, and part of that is training stunt people or training actors to do stunts. And this is sort of a showcase for that in a way. And clearly it works because it's just, it all looks real for the most part. There's not a lot of CGI, not a lot of dodgy effects in this, which always yank me out of a movie, so I appreciated that. Some scares and some shocks. Some of it didn't quite work for me in terms of some of the makeup on that which is the thing that is causing the problems. So there were some flashbacks that I found a little bit confusing at first, because you're seeing actors in the present playing actors in the past and things like that. But overall, sort of, to me, is sort of a passable, horror movie. It was, I will say that it was very short. It is listed as 77 minutes. It actually really kind of ends at 67 minutes. So it's really barely over an hour, followed by 13 minutes of very slow credits and images of each actor on screen and their name and outtakes and things like that. Whatever can be done to stretch that length out, which I'm always amused by that. I'm amused, and I always will say, anybody who can complete a film gets my respect. Anybody who can complete a film and get it released gets my respect. So I may not love it, which is the case of this film, but it seems like from the behind the scenes, and I'll talk about the extras on the DVD, seems like from the behind the scenes, this is a good group of people who are just trying to make a movie and have some fun, and they succeeded in that. And it's if you're doing your 31 days of October, Shocktober, Halloween, toss Fear Cabin in there. You may have fun with it. There were some, like I said, there were some moments that were surprising to me, and there were just some impressive, stunts and effects, as you see in the behind the scenes of how they did it. And it's just very simple, but it was very effective. And I'm a sucker for people levitating, and I'm a sucker for some of the stuff that happens in this movie. So ultimately, as far as the film is concerned, I'm not going to say I would recommend it, but it was interesting to watch. So for the extras, we have a slideshow that is 2 minutes, and unfortunately, sort of typical of Cleopatra Entertainment, these slideshows tend to just be still frames that are pulled from the movie you just watched. So I don't really see a point to that. To me, a slideshow should be on set photography or behind the scenes photography or posters or ad materials or something. And if you're just pulling stills from the movie somebody has just watched, it's kind of a waste. There's a 1 minute trailer. There is a behind the scenes that's 7 minutes, and that's pretty cool. It's a lot of shooting the monitor while they're doing a shot or while they're rehearsing a shot, or you're seeing the rehearsal. It was very interesting and very well done. And the interview with the director, Brian Krainson, is 4 minutes, and that was very interesting and informative. Seems like a very likable guy, and I think watching those extras improved my opinion of the film, because if everybody came off as a bunch of not nice people in the extras, I would have been, this movie's terrible, these are horrible people. But when you see it's just like, the movie's pretty passable, and the people who are involved were trying to do a good thing. I will say it's unclear the age of the people in the film. The way they talk, it sounds like they're college age or high school, but to my eye, they exceed that in their years. That's probably something that could have been changed just by not including that kind of dialogue in the film. But otherwise, Fear Cabin, the last weekend of summer, is available now on DVD, probably streaming as well, from Cleopatra Entertainment.